What's good, y'all? This your boy Blak G 92. Now, for this noon, I'm going to do a reaction to another mini documentary from the YouTube channel Age of Wrestling titled When Intergender Wrestling Goes Wrong, the Asuka Incident. Shout out to the person, I think Millie Jarvis gave me this video to react to, so shout out to you for the reaction request. And I'm going to see what this documentary is looking like in about 3, 2, 1. See how informative it is, because it's a very interesting title to say the least.
Warning.
Of course, you got the warning, which it's advised. Oh man, whenever I see the, oh man, she got some pretty out there face paint. I like it, and the little purple, like light blue, purple, like violet, red on one side. Okay, I like this little giddy up she got going on. This little screen, not screen, the little screenshot. And I like to say, before we get started, the whole viewer discretion is advised. Always keep me interested to see what's actually disturbing. What's so bad. At least that's how I grew up. I identify as such when they do viewer discretion advised.
The greatest women's wrestlers in the world today. She has separated herself from other women in wrestling through her incredible in-ring skill, charismatic aura, protracted longevity, impressive versatility, and her strong connection with the fans. With all of these aspects, she's managed to become a multi-time Women's World Champion in WWE with many remarkable reigns. However, Asuka wasn't always Asuka, and things haven't always been rosy, especially when she was in Japan wrestling under the ring name Kana. An incident occurred in Japan in 2014 when Asuka had a match against the most notorious man in Japanese wrestling, the murder grandpa himself, Minoru Suzuki. In this match, he absolutely decimated.
That man looks evil, and is that the match right there? That man looks evil with that smile, like someone you don't want to get on his bad side, or even caught at an alley at night.
When Asuka had a match against the most notorious man in Japanese wrestling, the murder grandpa himself, Minoru Suzuki. In this match, he absolutely decimated Asuka and it crossed the line as far as intergender wrestling goes, as it was more akin to an actual domestic assault. But why did Suzuki go so hard on Asuka?
Yeah.
How did it all come to this point?
Yeah,
Asuka was born in Osaka, Japan in 1981, and growing up she was a massive fan of professional wrestling. But weirdly enough, she wasn't a fan of Joshi wrestling at all, which is Japanese women's wrestling, even though it has such a rich history. Instead, she was interested in men's wrestling, as her heroes were wrestling legends like the Great Muto, Antonio Inoki, and someone who she would infamously make headlines with in the future, none other than Minoru Suzuki. Even though she had a great love for wrestling, she instead went into a different field as a career. She worked as a graphic designer and a journalist in the gaming industry, as video games were another one of her passions. Her current YouTube channel is a testament to this. Even though she loved the video game industry and achieved a lot, she had a calling for her first true love, which was professional wrestling, and so she quit her job and started to train to become a professional wrestler in 2003. She made her debut in 2004 under the ring name Kana in the all-female promotion Major Girls Fighting Atars, previously known as the promotion Arison. She wrestled for less than 2 years in this promotion because she was forced to retire in 2006 as she was diagnosed with chronic nephritis, a condition that caused inflammation of the kidneys and that can be caused and exacerbated by exactly the type of strenuous exercise that comes with the job of being a wrestler. When she left wrestling, she opened up her own graphic design agency, but her professional wrestling itch was just too strong and she returned back to the ring in 2007, a year and a half after retiring. When she returned, she really started to build her name and fame in wrestling. While American wrestling had long been dominated by a single company, WWE, the Japanese wrestling scene is far more splintered, especially where Joshi is concerned. The biggest promotion in Japan, New Japan Pro Wrestling, did not feature women's wrestling at all, leaving a void to be filled by a ton of smaller companies. After Asuka came back to wrestling, she wrestled for pretty much all of these Joshi wrestling promotions. She arguably found her greatest fame in the promotion Pro Wrestling Wave, where she was one of the company's top stars. It was in this promotion that she formed the stable.
Wow, she looks so young in those some of these old footage. I had no idea she was in her early 40s. I would thought she was still in her 30s or something when I started seeing like little highlights in the other documentaries I've been reacted to. But man, I had no idea she'd been doing it for years in her home country. Would never thought. But hey, sometimes it takes a while for those from where they from their home country get recognition overseas. It takes time, man. And good thing she recovered from that little illness she had. That's a good thing.
Tales with Io Shirai, now known as
them damned. Yeah, I've definitely got to check out Asuka's little video game YouTube channel.
There's no excuse.
All right, shut up. I don't want to
now
hear
known
you.
as Io Sky in WWE, and who was a multi-time women's world champion there. The stable was also with Io's sister, Mio Shirai. This trio would go on to dominate the Joshi wrestling scene, but they disbanded after about a year. Everything changed for Asuka in 2010 though, when she published her manifesto in the magazine Weekly Pro Wrestling. And no, not the type of manifesto of one of those mass shooters who murder loads of people, but a professional wrestling manifesto. Through this manifesto, she explained how she was largely disillusioned and disgusted with the Joshi wrestling scene, which she found overly stylized and more focused on how the woman looked rather than the product itself. She also trashed her fellow Joshi pro wrestlers, not only for their personalities, but also for their wrestling. Asuka basically went full savage on the Joshi wrestling scene.
I gotta
so here
see
you got
that.
a hotshot Joshi and Asuka, who had only a few years experience wrestling, calling for a notion to improve the Joshi wrestling industry. Even though there was nothing inherently wrong with what she said, she was in most folks' eyes a rookie overstepping her bounds by burying the Joshi industry by pointing out its very blatant flaws. This is a no-go in a Japanese society that values conformity, age, and seniority. This manifesto managed to not only get her on the bad side of her peers, but promoters too. She was crucified in the media for this, and was also accused of being too stiff and dangerous in the ring. Funnily enough, this manifesto shot Asuka right to the top of the industry, because everyone essentially hated her and wanted to see her get a comeuppance. All of this caused her to begin producing her own shows around this time under the banner Kana Pro. The fact that she was able to pull big crowds in Japan based off of her name and the other wrestlers she invited to wrestle on her cards just showed how talented and how popular she actually was in the Joshi wrestling scene. She was still hated
That's
by
very
her peers and
impressive.
promoters though, so much so that she even claimed that Stardom is an organization that was created to defeat me. Stardom was co-founded in 2011 by one of Asuka's biggest enemies, Nane Takahashi, with whom she had real-life beef with, and even allegedly got into a backstage fistfight with years prior. Even though Stardom at that time was not as big as it is in this day and age, Asuka was essentially blacklisted from the company and not allowed to wrestle there. But that didn't matter though, as she was still getting booked across Japan, because she could draw very well. She was also getting booked in the United States for promotions like Shima and Chikara, with some of her most notable opponents on the American independents being Sarah Del Rey, Mia Yim, Nikki Cross, and Athena. What also helped her in her popularity was the gravures that she released. These are basically very racy modeling videos, featuring her in a bikini in various compromising positions, doing various things that shall not be delved into on this video. It's definitely too hot for YouTube. What also helped her with her popularity?
I'm about to go do some research sometime in the future, like when I'm not recording, to see how racy those images are. Cause hey, I also got a nice body, so hey, I guarantee that's probably the main reason they got attention. So hey, I'd like to see more of that body. You might look up those if they're still available. That is.
The two new gimmicks that she created and debuted in 2013, Kana Zombie and Kana Clown. She used to wear nightmarish makeup, making her look almost demonic. There was a menacing dark aura around her, and she was not only scary to look at, but behaved in a similarly disturbing fashion. The poison mist was also a prominent feature for her arsenal. Her current gimmick now in WWE is a callback to this version of Kana. This portrayal of her character was a super smash mega hit and caused her popularity to grow even more. And just like that, she had won over Joshi wrestling as an industry. They preyed on Asuka's downfall, but all she did was rise to the top. She had so much influence and was such a big draw that it was hard for anyone to criticize her. She could be a lovable babyface who was funny and relatable, or a terrifying heel that made you uncomfortable with fear or hate. That is what made her so special. Her creativity and charisma shot her to the top, as she was the type of wrestler who was willing to be bold and take risks. She wasn't in it for the money or to be champion. She was wrestling because she loved it, and fans could tell, so they gravitated towards her. She was also very into intergender matches, as she wrestled various men before. This led her to a self-produced show, Kana Pro Mania Reach, in 2014, where she booked herself in a match, teaming with Pro Wrestling Noah mainstay Naomichi Marufuji versus Joshi legend Maiko Satomura, and the most notorious man in all of Japanese pro wrestling, and one of her heroes growing up, the wrestling king himself, Minoru Suzuki. Suzuki at this point forged a reputation all over the world and in Japan as one of the toughest and most badass guys in wrestling. Basically, he's a sick Everything starts off normally as Suzuki.
I bet this that facial expression alone that I could tell that dude is sick. I ain't no background on Suzuki at all. Minoru Suzuki aside from this video, but yeah, that man looks sick. Just from that facial expression alone. But I'm interested in seeing there's a documentary of this guy to see how notorious he is. Get more of a look into it.
The match begins as normal and everything is standard, but then whenever Asuka and Suzuki are wrestling, it's a little bit stiff. Nothing too crazy, but still stiff nonetheless, as he whacks her with a knee to the face and gives her very stiff elbows that rock her. She tries to fight back, but clearly she is no match for Suzuki, as he is bigger and stronger. Her offense on him is no sold, and Suzuki is straight up manhandling her, but still, it's nothing too out of the ordinary and is often seen in intergender matches to get heat for the man. But then almost 20 minutes into the match, in the end stretch, things start to cross the line. Asuka tries to fight Suzuki once more and once again he no-sells it. She eventually starts to get some offense on him and he seems affected by her moves. This is a big mistake though, as Suzuki gets up and gives her one of the worst headbutts given from a man to a woman in wrestling. Suzuki then proceeds to drag her lifeless body around.
I felt that one. Let me rewind it. Let me go ahead and rewind it, because holy shit. I've heard that. I definitely heard the skulls colliding and everything.
And
hope I'm not tripping.
Affected by her moves.
Ooh, that had to hurt. That was a bit much. Yeah, that was necessary.
Headbutts given from a man to a woman in wrestling.
Ooh.
Suzuki then proceeds to drag her lifeless body around by her hair like she's a ragdoll and proceeds to slap her while he's on top of her. The ref even tries to stop him, but he pushes him away with ease, and he then grabs her by her hair and strikes her face repeatedly in a brutal manner. Her partner Marufuji even comes in for the save, but Suzuki throws him out of the ring swiftly and proceeds to brutally kick and slap. His own tag team partner, Meiko Satomura, sees what's going on and even steps into the ring to try and stop him, but he throws her out of the ring swiftly as well and continues to...
Man, wow, he's still beating on her. Like, wow, he was still beating on her. What the fuck? And he just throwing around people that's trying to break it up like it's nothing. Damn, this nigga's strong as shit.
Straight up assault Asuka. This was truly uncomfortable to watch. As you could tell, Asuka was out of it.
She was.
Once again, she tried to fight back, but this was futile. He put her in a leg lock, then chokehold, and then roughly put her into a gotch-style piledriver for the 1-2-3. The ending stretch of this match was one of the most unbearable and agonizing experiences ever. This whole incident was planned though, as it was a work shoot, seeing that Asuka booked this match. Asuka asked Suzuki to go as hard as he could with her and not to hold back during this match. Suzuki apparently did not want to be as stiff as he was with Asuka during this match, but Asuka, being the booker of the show and wanted to give the fans a memorable experience, convinced him to go full Chris Brown on her. Suzuki was one of her inspirations growing up, and she wanted to prove to him and the world that she was tough as nails. He went through with it, as we could see, and afterwards he said that he respected her more for taking such a vicious beating from him. Even though this was all planned, it was still definitely too far. This is why intergender wrestling gets such a bad rap. It's because it can spawn moments like this where it goes beyond the realms of wrestling and plain and simply just gets too real. Japanese wrestling is notoriously stiff, but it should not cross over into intergender matches to this extent. It's not even a thing of projecting Western values on Japanese wrestling. But wrong is wrong, and this was just plain wrong. After this match, the frequency of Asuka's performances in Japan was low, and fans started to speculate her retirement. What fueled this was when she said she will stop accepting bookings in Japan. But then out of nowhere, she appeared on an NXT TakeOver show in the crowd and announced that she had signed with WWE. As far as the rest of the story, you already know it, as she has become one of the greatest WWE women's wrestlers of all time. But that is the story of her time in Japan and her incident with Minoru Suzuki. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos. Also, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. But anyway, goodbye.
Go ahead and... Yeah, that was quite the documentary, to say the least. And man, that clip was kind of hard to watch, for real. It's like watching actual beating instead of a match after a while. Actual wrestling match after a while. I was like, ooh, and then even the fact that three people tried to like break it up and everything, and dude just tossed him off like there was nothing, kept on beating on her. I was like, damn, that's a bit much. And then come to find, when it was mentioned that she wanted Suzuki go as hard as he could, I was like, that's a strange request. Because that man is big as fuck. Yeah, and the strength differences between her and Suzuki is just it's a very large margin as far as strength levels between the two. So yeah, she probably should have thought twice for even requesting such. MC Asuka has gone on to state that she asked for it. Minoru was one of her idols. Beyond that, she felt that if she could handle a stiff wrestling style, she would become the female version of strong style. Minoru has been wrestling for a very long time. He had to cause serious injuries. Fight style is brutal, but he takes care of his opponents. Okay, interesting take. And this is an uncomfortable match to watch, but Kana booked it. Turned out exactly the way she wanted it. Suzuki's one of the most terrifying heels in the business. Also respected, professional, and while it looks absolutely horrifying, he's no way taking liberties. Well, that's a difficult match to watch. Exactly what Kana booked to do it. It did so extremely successful. Made Suzuki look like a cruel and brutal bastard. Made Kana look as tough as nails for taking as long as she did. Okay, interesting. The fact that we also talking about years later, Suzuki still taking bookings for intergender matches, hoping for something half as effective as this one is testament to success. Okay. I see quite a bit of people get some very, very interesting takes on the match, whatever. And like I said before, I found out it was actually requested for it to go get crazy and such. Asked him not hold back on the beatings and such. Like, oh, okay, so this was kind of planned as such. Asuka's refusal to settle for the Joshi status quo not only made her a great heel, also gave her the opportunity to go to WWE, become like one of the most famous Joshi in history, much like how Rey Mysterio is famous worldwide. And it's the face rather than the mask people think of when talking about lucha. Asuka is the face of Japanese women's wrestling for anyone who isn't from Japan or highly engaged smart. Okay. Got some cool comments in here. And never interested in seeing more of these type of stories from Age of Wrestling. Let me know if you want me to react to more of these documentaries, because it got me hooked, indeed, in spite of these the past, in spite of like what the subject matter may look. I'm actually interested to see more of it, in the age and this from this channel, as well as other documentaries if you have them in mind, as well as songs, music videos, you name it. Post them in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit that notification button, hit the subscribe button, and also be sure to follow me on my social media accounts, which will be posted in the description box below. This is your boy Blak G92, about to sign off. How is your boy? Peace.